But again, like, I just want to say this. Any evidence of a molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth has been a housekeeping question for a long time. But I don't understand why this new question. I don't know. I don't know.
It's the echo in your brain. You know you can't sustain the misconceptions in your mind. One day you'll see for sure what all of this was for. Then you can leave it all behind. The journey begins. I am the one, yeah, that will show the proof. I am the one, yeah, that is searching for the truth. I am the whispers of the logic in your mind. I am an agent of the logos. In the beginning was found this thing that cannot speak. It's how we all truly learn. It's only ever attained when one lets go of fear. So don't let wisdom pass you by. The journey begins. I am the one, yeah, that will show the proof. I am the one, yeah, that is searching for the truth. I am the whispers of the logic in your mind. I am an agent of the logos. It was there all along. How could I never have seen this thing that's danced all around? It wasn't until I left behind the things I believed that I could see things so clear. The journey begins. Become the one, yeah, that will show the proof. Become the one, yeah, that is searching for the truth. Become the whispers of the logic in their mind. Become an agent of the logos. Become an agent of the logos. We are the agents
Sunday I
of
made
the
a reductio ad
logos.
absurdum about
And we are live. Welcome, everybody. Sorry to cut you off there, Saragaki.
no worries.
Yes, it is Tuesday, Logic Night. Titled this one, Who's the King of Debates? That should speak for itself. We are talking about Rob's brought us in again. We're coming into the I think, can you talk a bit more tonight, Rob? Are you freer to talk, or are you still busy just like bringing this to us?
Yes and no. I got 3 vehicles on the go, but I can pause and kind of put my 2 cents in here and there.
Okie dokie. So we have been informed by Rob, our resident flat earther, that there is a new called housekeeping question from the Flat Earth Debate YouTube channel. I don't know. And they've added this new housekeeping question, which Rob...
Can I say it?
Yeah, go on. You go ahead.
Okay. Is there any evidence of level being equidistant to the center of our Earth?
Oh, of our Earth, not a presupposed sphere. Or are they just leaving it open-ended with the Earth bit?
I said our Earth. They said just Earth,
Okay.
like the dirt that we walk on.
Yeah. Equidistant from the center of it. Yeah.
If it is equidistant, it has to be a sphere assumed, because otherwise, if the level is a straight line, it would be line beneath the Earth or plane. But if they are talking about a center, like point, it is pre-assuming a sphere or globe. I would say that this is not very good formulated question. Better would be if there is any evidence of level being not horizontal.
Yeah. Being anything but straight. Plane. So like what we've been doing here, easy, is trying to formulate proofs within reality to try and show people the positive side of it. Stick to the modus ponens. This one is... It's a begging the question. It's setting up something that... they all say, and they have said it for ages, they've said that level is not horizontal. Let's just check. I don't know. I've sent Blue Marble a message, but it appears that he's not replying back. Blue Marble wants to debate me on level and horizontal. Level being horizontal. I think, let me just check what it was. He said... the channel on over whether level is horizontal or not, and whether all horizontals are parallel to the plane of the horizon. I'd say that the consequence of it all was that all horizontals are parallel to each other. The horizon is the mid part of the thing that you can get rid of, really. So you start with horizontals, and the horizontals are parallel. It's the conclusion. I think it's a really strange idea for Blue to be doing that, but waiting back for confirmation on him. You're talking about the debate page with me and Blue. Well, he wants me to do it on Mr. Sensible's channel, but I think it'd be much more fitting if we were to do it on like the Flat Earth. So that's what I've sent it to him. I think we could get a bigger audience with Fight the Flat Earth, especially within this debate about level being horizontal. But like I say, I'm waiting back for Blue Marble to do it. I mean, I don't know whether Nathan Oakley's got a gist of this and he's heard about this, and that's why he's added this in as a new housekeeping question. I don't know.
I
Maybe
don't know
he's
too.
heard about our proof that level is horizontal and
Yeah,
wants
now
to
that
challenge.
now that you say it like that, Bev, I was just wondering, maybe this is his way of trying to get Globers to prove that level is not horizontal.
Well,
Interesting.
yeah. Well, I think what he should really do, if he wanted to add a new housekeeping question, I think he should really go balls to the wall and just say, is there any proof in favour of the globe model? Knowing that there isn't, right? We've been saying it for years. Even Dave Weiss had his 3 Bitcoin challenge. I mean, it's not worth as much now as it was back then. I don't know whether it's still running or not, whether it's going to be handed off to somebody else, or whether Dave Weiss can't do it now that he's not got the aid of Nathan Oakley to be able to fend off all of those globers that were coming with their globe proofs, batting down the door. I mean, obviously, there is no globe proof. There's no proof of the globe. Even the globers, like, we started this year off over at Gem Pandas, and they told us there and then that they don't have proof. There is no proof for the globe model, admitted by everyone. They say there is no proof within science. They're talking about blue marble science, of course, the new branch of science.
Proofless science.
Yeah, proofless science. The one that just works on not that all the time. And if you want to play that game, then you talk to these people about their stuff. You ask them for their evidence of it, instead of asking them for proof for their model. Because I'm guessing if you don't ask them for proof, you already know there is no proof. So why not keep pointing that out? Why start asking for evidence of other things? It's all unraveling. They've been saying for ages there is no proof. If you have no proof, that means you cannot formulate an argument. And if you cannot formulate an argument, that means whatever it is that you're trying to predicate upon isn't real. Therefore, no predication, no argument to be made from the predication about the subject. There's no reasoning to go on around the argument to give you a conclusion. Therefore, you have no proof. It's very simple. There is nothing there for them to talk about. And when I'm talking about them, I'm talking about Globe Gang. I mean, they've been running from this conversation for ages. They've been running from the conversation of talking to Nathan Oakley about his housekeeping questions. As poorly formulated, whatever. They cannot talk about them. They've even stopped discussing them in other areas. They just imagine that they've already come up with them. They've already rebutted them. That's where these guys are at. Now, there's a very strange thing that I've been watching just recently, and that is the separation of the two flat earth gangs. It's like the Bloods and the Crips. The Flat Earth Gang 1, Flat Earth Gang 2. But the Flat Earth Gang in the US, they're like the glitzy, glamorous, playboy Flat Earth Gang. And the other one is the Flat Earth Debate Squad, which I'm guessing There's a load of Americans in that too as well. But it's led by Nathan Oakley. Now, Nathan Oakley has just had a big bust up with Dave Weiss and Jaron and Bob. Jaron and Bob's been going on for a long time, but particularly the Dave Weiss thing, I think is amazing. Because I couldn't see that coming, and I don't know why it did happen. But it's thrown up a lot of questions. Logical questions surrounding the flat earth society type thing. Where is the flat earth society, and what is the flat earth society, and who starts pointing fingers at flat earth society? Because it's getting a little bit strange at the minute. Bastard says it's news to you. Have you not been listening to Nathan Oakley over the last few streams? And 1764, 1765 and 1766. There's about 15 hours worth of conversations. Man, the drama's building. I don't know whether it's got me hooked. I'm right in on it. But it's only, the story's only coming from one side. I've only had a chance to listen to to Nathan Oakley and what he's been saying, and the guys, the Flat Earth debate team. But they definitely don't like the Playboy Flat Earthers. That sounds better, doesn't it? And it's all about, it seems to me, it's all about a conversation that Jaron, Dave Weiss, Whitsitt, and Hibbler. Is it Hibbler? I've never really heard of him.
Yeah, I think his name is Hibbler.
Yeah, he's the filmmaker. Or the one that did that. Right, so it seems to me, and a few of the things I heard, was that I don't think it was a debate. They were just having a discussion with a guy. But Nathan Oakley seems to have come around this title of this one tonight. Is the king of the debates. He said that Dave Weiss should not debate, and Dave Weiss wasn't debating. He was just talking to a guy. So it seems a little bit strange. I know for a fact that we've been saying, particularly since the beginning of this year, once you find out that there is no proof for globe model, and even the most hardcore globe fanatics over at Gem Panda's debate Flat Earth and more were saying that there is no proof for the globe, then there's no debate. There's never been a debate. There can't have been a debate. If you can't formulate an argument, then you cannot debate. You can't debate without an argument. Simple as that.
Sometimes even Globers are producing counter arguments against their model, and it was not very well spotted, I think, on this so-called debate with this guy Ryan, because at some moment he said, he was talking about, I think, ISS or some objects which were sent to supposedly space, and he was talking about gravity, and he said that the objects are going into more rare medium. It means air with the height, and they are getting heavier, and he staggered because he I don't know even if he said that that the objects are heavier, but he staggered because I think that he realized that he is debunking Newtonian gravity, because in Newtonian gravity, if you are going higher, you are lighter, not heavier. So he staggered and he said something else, but I cannot spot the timestamp of that now. But I remember that he said that, and he stopped because he realized what shit he stopped. So sometimes they are debunking it themselves.
Well, the I just saw it as a conversation, like anybody really has. If you go to the pub and you're having a chat with your mates, and one of your mates has a point that he brings up, then the other guys are just chatting to him. It's just a conversation. It's not a debate that you get into with your mates. A debate is a little bit more structured, like what Blue Marble wants to do with me. Hopefully we get to show what a structured debate looks like. And it's not a conversation when you're discussing things with each other. Yeah, there you go.
Debate is a fight, like the octagon or whatever.
Yeah.
With rules, but still, this is fight.
Mental battle.
Yes, yes.
Level Bastard says, it says, if there is no proof for the globe, then the next best thing a glober needs is a ridiculous adversary, and that adversary is flat earthers. That's why they have to keep putting that label on me, trying to give me that label, because then they can make it a ridiculous adversary, right? Because it's ridiculous. I think people are waking up to it now. Some people, anyway. I mean, other people are going to have to redefine what flat Earth is, or what it means to them. Most people here, especially people like Rob, they've already done that. They've literally redefined what it means to be a flat earther. And I think there's a lot of people that are like that. It means something different to everyone. And that's where the conversation should be, as in the terms of what we're talking about. Not arguing about past the terms. We need to find out all like the definition of Earth for one, and the definition of flat for two. And since there is no such word as an earther, all of these terms need to be discussed. Because it just seems like everybody's talking past everybody. And that doesn't make sense. But for you to have a conversation and to label it a debate, it should really be a structured debate where arguments are put forward. But we found out there is no argument for the globe. They cannot formulate an argument. Like maybe old school logic, be considered that sort of stuff, but the communication skills that we've learned as our communication skills through logic have improved, less people want to talk to us, it seems. Less and less people. They try to label us, well, I don't know. They don't even talk to us anymore. but no doubt they do talk about us in the back rooms. There are groups of people probably going slightly crazy, now having to discuss with each other because they cannot talk to us. We're still here talking about these sort of things to everybody. So how are they going to get around that? If they can't come and talk to us, what they have to do is they have to go and talk to each other. And as we know, they all have their own models, because it's not real, it's fantasy. But it's an individual fantasy model that everybody has. So communication amongst each other within the globe model framework is it's a nightmare. So I don't envy them. Shout out Blue Marble, if he's listening, probably. Get back onto us. Let us know whether Fight the Flat Earth wants to host the debate, the great debate. Level is horizontal. That's what I'll be going. Positive. I'll be making my positive proofs and putting them forward. Blue Marble says he'll have his proofs that level is not horizontal, and he'll be able to put his forward. But I'm not putting myself forward for the king of debaters. I'm a student of the trivium. I want to be able to study under the best debaters. Now, I'm thinking, me personally, that this arena that we've been in has been slowly shifting the word usage of debate. And what they've done is they've linked the flat earth ridiculous concept along with debate. So when you add these two things together, then what you end up with is a flat earth debate. And that is not an actual debate as far as I've ever seen. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the debate is normally set out with an argument from either side about a subject. You then talk about, put forward your claims, statements, arguments from each side of it, and then that argument that you put forward gets discussed. That's never happened, particularly within these arenas. Is what happens is you swap and change from one topic to another whenever somebody gets cornered, and it ends up being a show of sophistry. And it's then who has the knowledge and the ability to spot the fallacies and the sophistry techniques that get employed within these debate arenas. That's another thing. There seems to be a lot more than the people. A debate is normally structured. You can't just walk into a room and have a debate. It's not like the Monty Python argument sketch. You walk in and you pay your money and you have a debate. That doesn't happen. Or the discussions happen. Read in the chat. Okay, so the discussion is open tonight, right? This is a logic night. I consider logic being part of the argument. The logical argument has to be formulated to come up with a conclusion, much like you consider the scientific method. You have the antecedent, you have the consequent, and then you have the process of the mind that comes up with the conclusion. Much like the scientific method. That's the way I choose to look at this. It's the way I understand the scientific method is formulated through the logical process. The logical process is making, putting the correct words together call them sentences, call them statements, call it whatever you want, right? You link these words together in a syllogistic form, which means sort of like there's three parts to it. There's part one, antecedent, part two, consequent, and then part three, the conclusion. And all of these parts have to link together to be structured correctly. And then it's up to the conversation is about this argument, and the discussion is about the words and how it's formed and whether it's a good structured argument. That, to me, is the way it should be discussed. Now, within that form and that framework, there's no need for anybody to be shouting and calling anybody else names. It doesn't need to be structured like that with ad homs. All of that sort of stuff, to me, is just a distraction away from the argument.
For me, it was always the greatest disappointment in so-called debates that opponent is not addressing the point. So this is for me very disappointing. It's like watching film when you expect something to happen, and it should happen in film because it follows from previous action, and it doesn't happen. Then you are disappointed. And the same is very often in debates, so-called debates, that opponent is not addressing the point or ignoring the point or building straw man. And for me, as a listener to debate, I'm disappointed. Just it.
Well, yeah, when I came into this, again, I have to keep talking, I can only talk about me. Came into it with questions. Somebody had brought me in saying stupid things, and I needed to talk to people to try and clarify these things. Now, I wasn't looking for a debate. I was shy. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how all of these conversations were structured. I wasn't used to talking to people. So I went with questions, and to this day, I've never had any of the questions answered. It's just obfuscation. Obfuscation, misrepresentation, and so you're saying, no, like they just a lot of people misrepresent things in order to stop addressing the point. Now, we have found through the terms and everything that existential cognitive veiling is the reason these points are never addressed. They're always diverted around because real things cannot be looked at by a certain group of people. The ones that can't have the logical framework to spot a fallacy. And that's the truth. They cannot formulate these logical structures, the arguments, because they are they can't see a fallacy, because most of their arguments have a fallacy built into them. Most of their statements have a fallacy. The model has a fallacy built into it.
And they cannot see this fallacy, and they say that this is valid argument.
Mm-hmm.
And when you spot that this is fallacy, they say, no, this is not fallacy. This is not contradiction. This is not begging the question. This is not non sequitur, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So how to talk to that kind of people, that they cannot acknowledge fallacy in their statements?
Yeah, the conversations can never be had if people can't acknowledge the flaws within their non-arguments, right? They can't even formulate an argument. They can't see fallacies, and they can't even discuss the conversation. Surely, you know, if they say they haven't got a fallacy, then come forward and just show us. You've got no argument. It's a shame. It's a shame. And I find, since, you know, they've got no argument, so therefore there will never be a debate. I don't know what Nathan's talking about. He's saying to Dave Weiss to not debate. He's telling Dave Weiss to not debate. QE, both QE and Nathan are going after flat earthers. I've heard them say it. So if the debates are never going to come from the globe side, how do we find out who is the king of debate? Well, I offer myself up, offer my services. I'm quite willing to go into a debate where the subject, if they put the subject as flat earth, like I've been saying all this time, I will go with the approach that the earth is not flat. And Nathan Oakley can go with his flat earth if he wants. If he really wants to structure a debate to find out how good the debate structure is.
Hey, can I jump in for a second?
Yeah.
But it's not a globe, right?
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it flat.
I get it. I'm with you.
This is just not globe. So
If
not
you
globe.
say it's not a globe, you're a flat earther.
No. This would be a structure for Nathan Oakley and me. So nothing to do with the globe. This is just the earth being flat or not flat.
Yeah, it's not flat, but I am a flat earther.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Yeah,
Weird.
not about flat earthers.
Stupid.
No. This isn't
Sounds
about
stupid.
flat earthers at all. This is about flat earth.
It's an earther.
I'm just saying, for a structured argument and how to lay out a debate. Okay, there you go. Asking, is the earth flat? Let's go with that. That's a great title, and it would let Nathan and me have a chance at going to a debate.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
When is flat not two-dimensional?
Well, flat's a realistic term, isn't it? From reality. Flat is
Unless you live in the UK and that's what you call your house. Flat.
I think that's because it's on one level. The flats. But I would say that flat is a term for reality, right? So you have horizontal and vertical. They're mathematical terms, but the real part of them in reality is level and plumb. Much the same as a plane in geometry. Well, then you would have in reality, the reality version of that is what you call flat. It's a visual surface condition, a real thing. Because there's no flat in geometry. We have a plane in geometry. So in order to relate that geometric term into reality, we use the term flat.
Yes, flat would be a real surface of real object. So, but plane is not necessarily, not at all, surface of any object. So, applying this name flat to it, it is just not very, I think, smart.
Yeah. But like 2D, a plane.
Yes, like saying that the surface of the let's say flat surface is 2D. No, plane is 2D. No, flat is just, it would be misnomer.
Oh, Wally's in the YouTube chat. Strange to see you here on Logic Night. Well, Nathan Oakley, Flat Earth Debate channel. He's a YouTuber. He makes money from doing this. He has a living, Wally. That's what he's meant to be doing. This is obviously in need. I think Nathan is pretty stuck, really. Because once you know that the guys that you're discussing, the guys that, you know, like your entire show's built around a load of mentally disturbed people, I would say. They've literally had their minds exploded by a model. Once you know that they have no argument, yet you want to be Flat Earth Debate, you know that there's never going to be a Flat Earth Debate. Then you're going to have to do something. Been saying for a bit, I don't know where this is meant to go.
In fact, this flat Earth debate, it is rather anti-globe debate, because in fact they are disputing or dismissing globe pseudo arguments, which is not very difficult to do.
Yeah, because they're not real. They don't have any arguments.
Yes, so but this is not about really flat Earth as such, but more like anti-globe discussion.
Yeah,
Yes, this
claims of madmen and women don't need to be rebutted, really.
Yes, but they do. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. If someone is into it and it entertains him, that's okay. But it doesn't prove shape of the Earth.
No, I'm particularly thinking about. I have been listening to a few of these Nathan Oakley shows over the last few bits, and he's telling Dave Weiss to not debate anybody. But if you know that there is no debate, then what's Nathan actually saying? don't talk to people about a fictional model. I can't see where this is going. Askin's talking about Wally having a debate. He's too shy, Askin. He'd never do it. He wouldn't be able to formulate his opening statement. Too nervous. Talking isn't for everyone. But Wally's obviously going to be helping Blue Marble out in his stolen concept. Which, genius, Wally. I have to thank you for that. For you to take that over there, completely disregard everything that we told you about the stolen concept fallacy and go and sell it to Blue Marble. Thank you very much. I hope you've told Blue about how you got around the stolen concept fallacy. Because you were offered loads of chances of coming in here to talk about the stolen concept. If anybody's not aware, within logic, there are... I do have my organ on here, and we will get into... what were they called? Refutations? Sophistical refutations that Aristotle did. And they were all... the fallacies and the particular ways and the tricks that people used to get around not having an argument. They're like magic tricks of debating how to get around that sort of thing. We'll have to go over it, but one of them is I don't even think it's in there, but this one's come around obviously in more modern times when people aren't actually aware of logic and how to use it to spot fallacies. This one is called it's called a self-refuting fallacy or a self-refuting statement, because the very statement refutes itself. It's so crazy that I don't think Aristotle would even have thought that anybody could have even attempted to have done it back in that day.
Yes, people were not so stupid. So
yeah. They would never have fallen for something so ridiculous a fallacy. It's so open.
Yes, because it is based that if you have conclusion that follows from premises, this is your syllogism, and in this stolen concept fallacy, you are just changing premises, and conclusion is the same. So you are changing the cause of something, just changing premises. And that's it. So, for example, if the cause of objects falling down is a relation between densities, for example, it is provable, then we can change the cause, like Newton, for example, to give that attraction of masses. So that would be stolen concept, because effect remains the same, but the cause is different. So, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, so, I'm hoping that I'll be able to explain the stolen concept fallacy when Blue Marble and I get into this level and horizontal debate. Obviously, Wally knows it already. Wally's was the originator of the stolen concept. He was the one that showed us. Well, it was actually a guy called Jeff from Twitter. He later called himself, well, we call him the guy that may or may not live in Maine. And he was pretending to be a surveyor. He came up with the original stolen concept. I think Jesse Kozlowski might have had a hand in it as well. But then Wally brought it back. Then Hoymar came and Blue Marble took up the very same stolen concept that's been handed down from Jesse Kozlowski to the guy that may or may not live in Maine, that definitely isn't a surveyor, to Wally, to Hoymar, and then finally to Blue Marble Science. Now, Blue Marble Science has just put a video out detailing the full stolen concept fallacy. Now, he obviously hasn't called it stolen concept fallacy. I think it's always there to help people find it, because it is so obvious when you see it. But in order for you to be able to see it, I think there's a process that needs to go on. So we will be helping people to see this stolen concept fallacy through geometric terminology and stuff. Now, hopefully, people, if any of you have stuck with us for this time, we've been going over Euclidean geometry. We've done that for a purpose, because the foundations that you need that will help you understand this, this is the stolen concept fallacy. This is part of the great paralogism. And it will help us see who can see a fallacy and who can't. I'm hoping everybody distills their water and stuff, then they're with us mentally as well as we go on this journey, because this is so simple. It's always been there. It's right in front of your face. It has been forever, and it still is. There's just a cloud of confusion that goes on around this whole arena. And I believe that you manifest what it is you talk about. The word usage, as particularly the imagine word, gives you an idea that most of the stuff that comes on in reality occurs in the mind, as does 90% of your thought pattern is related to something that doesn't actually exist. Your brain is ticking over subconsciously. Is that the right way to use it? Like, you're thinking of other things whilst doing something, and you're not really aware of what your brain does 90% of the time, I would say. So we have to.
I would name it automatism.
Yeah.
Because first you have to think about what you are doing, but some things you are doing automatic because you learned it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is like breathing. You can control your breath, but when you are sleeping, you cannot control your breath, but you are still breathing. So it depends on circumstances.
Yeah, well, would you say subconsciously the thoughts that you have, not maybe the thoughts, the influences that you gain, you're not really aware of, but you could possibly recall them later on at a different time. It's a very strange situation when you start thinking of the mind, and that's where the philosophers end up going into.
I would say that logical thinking cannot be produced by subconsciousness, but association and correlation and feelings with that, yes. You may be in that situation that you cannot control that, and these feelings and associations and bias can lead you with your thinking. But thinking itself, logical thinking, cannot.
Yeah.
You cannot just think logically subconsciously.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah,
impossible.
there is a process that you have to be there in the moment to be able to think the logical thoughts.
Yes, yes.
But in order for you to do that, you have to get yourself out of that autonomous mode and get you into it. Now, this society that we live in clouds the mind. And there's all sorts of distractions to stop you from these logical thoughts. They've even gone as far as to stop actually teaching logic. It's now part of a like a university thing that is given to students of a higher learning. Sometimes now within school system, logic is put into the computer programs to teach how to program computers in a sort of an automated way. It's took away from the debate and the argument and the structured argument and the syllogisms and the way you form the statements. It's gone out of that into computers and then into higher learning. But really, logical thinking and thinking logically is a process, and the structure of the logic is also a process. It doesn't take an awful lot to start this process, but it's not been taught for a great reason. Because a logical thinking mind is a lot harder to fool. A mind that has no logical structure can easily accept a contradiction without even seeing it. Once you have logic in place, these contradictions become very apparent. Even down to the point, I don't know, we were talking about paradoxes. Now, a paradox sounds fancy, but I mean, it's just a contradiction. It's something that puts you mentally in a position where there is a contradiction. And it's how you deal with that. Right? Because once you know there is a paradox, the contradiction, you have to be able to resolve it, because most people are of the understanding that a paradox doesn't exist in reality. There's no such thing as a paradox in reality, because that's a contradiction, and you can't have a contradictory thing. You can't have a thing being that thing and not that thing. It's not possible. Literally impossible. But if you're not taught about these things to go around that and how to spot them, then it becomes tricky when somebody does point out a contradiction that you hold. It can be scary. That's what brought me into this. Because I knew for a fact that everything I'd taught and been learned in my studies was that level was horizontal. It was a straight line in a particular position. That's level. That's what it is. Somebody told me that it wasn't. Now, at that moment, there's a contradiction. These contradictions have to be resolved. Because what proof did I have that level was horizontal? I'd just been taught it. All my teachers had taught me it through carpentry and joinery, laying floors. You know, you put a spirit level on a beam in order to put it in that position, that level position, with neither end being higher nor lower than the other, zero slope. And that's horizontal. That's a horizontal plane. They're directly relatable to each other. Now, if somebody tells me it's not, then they're saying to me that I'm having contradictory thoughts. And you can't have a contradictory thing in reality. That was my understanding. It still is. There's no such thing as a contradictory. You can't have paradoxes. There's no such thing as an existential paradox. They don't exist. And I'm thinking about that on a t-shirt. There's a t-shirt. Existential paradoxes don't exist. It's a catchy one, isn't it?
They cannot exist because it is impossibility. So entity cannot exist being contradictory to itself.
And yet, some people say there is. I mean, I've heard Blue Marble Science, one of their professors, saying that they have contradictory definitions of things within Blue Marble Science. Not the person, the actual science, the Blue Marble Science holds contradictory definitions.
It is I think this is very dangerous because if you have two definitions, it means that you have two entities. When they are contradictory to each other, they definitely are different. They are two different things. So it means that they exclude. They are mutually exclusive. So they cannot be one thing. So this is impossible to have contradictory definitions, because you are just naming with the one word two different things. It can happen, but you cannot say that this thing is the same as defined otherwise. You cannot say that. This is impossible.
Like the people that say level curves.
If level curves, it means that it cannot be straight. You cannot have both straight and curved level at the same time. You have to choose one. Not such a thing like contradictory entity, like level, straight and curved. Not possible.
Right. Well, in that vein of the contradictory things, I've been having a conversation with Betty again, and this particular conversation is a conversation that we've had with quite a few people recently, and it's about, I'm guessing, some sort of a contradiction, or it's an extension of something. Blues live. Hey, I hope he's talking about the debate he's planning. I'll go over if that's what he wants to do. If he wants to have a chat about discussing the terms of the debate. Debate of the century. I get these. No. I don't know if that's Betty. Let me check what's these. No, that's not. Ignore them, guys. Right. I'll put this one up here at the minute. When we did a show the other day, maybe yesterday, could it be? Yeah, I'm guessing so. We were pointing out about the measurement of an angle. That once you have a measurement of an angle, you cannot form a triangle. There's no such thing. Well, a few of these guys got a little bit upset about these conversation. Now, let me see if I might be better off having a look. Within the studio. Oh, there we go. Oh, he's talking about this. So what we're going on about here is the misunderstanding of the globe side about the angle and the forming of a triangle. Seems like we've lost a few views. Everybody's gone over to watch Blue Marble. I say this is whatever, or maybe everybody doesn't like the idea of us showing people the contradictions. I say you cannot construct a triangle because you don't know the length of any of the sides of the triangle. You just measure an angle. There's no measurements of any of the sides. So therefore you cannot form a triangle. And whatever goes against that. And he says you can contract the triangle. I don't know what that means.
I don't know also. Maybe
construct.
Construct, maybe.
Yeah, maybe he meant construct. You can contract the triangle without knowing the length of any of the sides, because triangles are proportional. Take, for example, the line of sight to a star 45 degrees from a horizontal reference line. I don't know where he gets his horizontal reference line from. Like, surely we were talking about measuring an angle. So he's brought a horizontal line into it to measure his angle from. It was from the horizon to a light in the sky, not from horizontal to a light in the sky. But hey, he's changed the rules. He's changed the idea. And then he said, this forms a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Literally. A 45,
this is absurd.
45, 90 triangle. It doesn't. You've just measured an angle.
I don't see how we can say that blatantly, outright, that just by measuring an angle, you automatically have a right angle triangle.
Yeah.
No, it assumes this so-called measurement assumes that this line to the star is hypotenuse of a right angle triangle.
Well, it's just, you don't need to say right angle triangle, because a hypotenuse is the angle opposite the right angle.
Yes, but still, this is assumption. So what? You can create anything from this angle. So, but it does. This angle does not establish that kind of triangle.
Well,
This is the problem.
Yeah, the problem is all you're doing is measuring an angle. You cannot call one of the arms of that angle a hypotenuse. You haven't got a triangle to be able to call it a hypotenuse. It's a trick.
Yes, because you need, for example, if you are creating a right angle triangle, you need to find an arbitrary point on this horizontal about which he was talking about, and to somehow link this this side to the star. But it is impossible because you don't know at which length you need to put that line. So for me, this is just imaginometry. I don't know how to construct that kind of right angle triangle because you don't know where to put that line.
Well,
this vertical, let's say, to horizontal.
Yeah.
Where?
Let me finish the whatever paralogism. Right? He's literally laying out a paralogism for somebody. Now, this one is obviously from the mind of a deluded fool. He says, this forms a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Notice 180 degrees. It doesn't matter if the length of the sides are inches, miles, or parsecs. Bit of sci-fi there for you. The observer can also use a small 45, 45, 90 handheld triangle and sight along the hypotenuse to the same star, whilst keeping the adjacent side horizontal. See? So not only is it imaginometry, but you could go outside with your little handheld triangle and sight. You could use it as a sighting device to sight stars along the hypotenuse.
Still, if he's talking about 45, 45, 90, it means that these two adjacent or legs of right angle triangle has to be equal.
Mhm.
So he's assuming that. So I don't know. So it means that the distance to the star from horizontal or GP is like 5 kilometers. So what? I don't. This for me, this is nonsense. Complete nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah, the trigonometry won't work, obviously. You are just looking at a triangle, right? Or looking at one angle of a triangle and imagining the rest of the triangle.
Yes, yes. Imagine the rest. Yes, not. This is not measured. Nothing.
Well,
Just
the only thing he
imaginometry.
does talk about here is he talks about the adjacent side is horizontal. So that's a triangle. Obviously, straight sides because the triangle has 180 degrees. He's wrote that down. So we are definitely talking about a straight horizontal, it being one of the sides of a straight triangle that's provable within mathematics in reality. So what we have here is a traditional triangle with 180 degrees, with the horizontal being straight, obviously one of the arms of a triangle that he's put in here. He says, a bit of geometry for us, Euclid doesn't use lengths at all whilst describing triangles. He also proves in book 6, proposition 4. Wow. Far-flung reaches of Euclid, book 6, proposition 4, that in equal angular triangles, the sides about the equal angles are proportional, where the corresponding sides are opposite the equal angles. It's talking about an equilateral triangle.
I would, of course, have to refute his first one there. Euclid doesn't use lengths at all while describing triangles. Well, enter the equilateral triangle, which is literally describing how each of the arms of the triangle is equilateral, of equal length.
Yeah.
That's the first proof. That's proposition 1 in book 1. It's about the length of each arm of the triangle, all being equal to the radius of the circle used to form them. So I would have to refute that one.
Yeah,
Yes.
the lengths of the sides of the triangle are utterly important. And he does say there, in equal angular triangles, the sides about the equal angles are proportional, where the corresponding sides are opposite. So he is saying that the length of the sides are equal, right? So
I think that
within a
whatever
proof.
misspoke because he was talking about units.
Yeah.
Yes, Euclid didn't mention units, but it doesn't mean that he was not talking about length. He was. Because we can measure length in proportion. And that's the beauty of Euclid, that he is using proportion, one length to another length, which gives us proportion of lengths. Simple.
And to add on to that, proposition 6, book 1, just keeping it at the beginning of the book, right? Proposition 6, he proves that every equiangular triangle is also equilateral. Again, about the lengths of the sides of the triangle.
Look at that, proposition 4. If the exterior angle of the triangle, I'll just read it out for you since he's used it. He's put a quote there. It's a bit longer than what he's put. It says, if the exterior angle of a triangle made by producing one of its sides be bisected by a straight line which is also cuts the base produced, the segments between the dividing straight line, and the extremities of the base shall have the same ratio which the other sides of the triangle have to one another. And if the segments of the base produced have the same ratio which the other sides of the triangle have to one another, the straight line drawn from the vertex of the point of the section shall bisect the exterior angle of the triangle. It's very advanced, that. Strange that he'd go to that. Somebody must have helped him out with that. Oh, proposition 4 theorem. Proposition 4. A. The sides about the equal angles of triangles are which equiangular to one another are proportionals, and those which are opposite the equal angles are homogeneous sides, that is, are the antecedents or the consequence of the ratios.
Yep, this is 100% about the length of the arms of the triangle and the straight lines that is using within this proposition here.
Yeah, I would say that's very the proportionals of the ratios. That's like a stadia hairs within a.
Yeah, they have proportional length.
Yeah.
So it means that he's talking about length.
It's the isosceles triangle, isn't it? The equal angles having equal proportional things. Wonderful things, triangles, and the things you can derive from them. But the main thing being they need to be triangles, not just one angle.
Yep, that's number one. You need an actual triangle first.
Well, and this triangle needs to be an actual triangle with straight sides, 180 degrees. That's a normal condition of a triangle. Everybody knows this. So anybody trying to not use that within any proof for trilateration, triangulation, or trigonometry, you're going to be struggling, because that's a necessity. A triangle, 3 straight sides, necessity, 180 degrees, or the sum of 2 right angles.
Imagine that you are curving one of the sides of equilateral triangle. It means that equilateral sides have different length.
Yeah. Reductio ad absurdum.
Different angles.
Yeah, having to be equal but not equal at the same time. It's a paradoxical state with contradictions built in.
Yes, reductio ad absurdum, yes.
Yet, that I feel that has been the conversations that we've been having for the last, me personally, 2 or 3 years. Been talking to people who claim to know things, but then say some of the most ridiculous things to counter a known proof from reality. They'll just say that's not reality. There's foundations. They're giving up the foundations of mathematics for a model without realizing it. And that, to me, is that's the biggest stolen concept fallacy of all. The things that they have to give up in order to keep their model in their mind. It won't ever make it real. Only ever going to be in the mind. I'm keen to know what Blue Marvel's doing. Is he going to debate or what? I mean, if he's doing his show, he's a bit late. So we've been having, like I say, we've been having Betty talking to us today about this particular triangle. Yeah. Oh, live videos. Comments. Ugh. Right, here we go. This is some more of the comments.
Or I can go what he wrote, maybe this point on the horizon, an object, and so on. He said that you can create triangle because you have 3 points, but this is not true because point is a location, and if you don't have a location of the point, you don't have a point, so you cannot create triangle.
Yeah, he's imagining the line that's used to form the angle as being having an end point. Fantastic thinking. But when very clever, and it's very sophisticated, right? That in order to say, it starts off with you saying if you're measuring an angle from one point to another point and you are the third point, then when you measure that angle from one point to the other, you then have 3 points, and having those 3 points makes you have a triangle. Very sophisticated.
He's confusing perspective view with orthographic view. You cannot do that because you should stand on the side of yourself to do that. So it's, for me, this is weird because you cannot do that. You cannot stand by the side of yourself to see yourself and this angle from the side. This is angle from your position. So you cannot create orthographic view for that. It is impossible.
But you can't put an end point to that. Like, let's say, for instance, if you're putting a line and measuring an angle from the horizon to, let's say, Polaris, light in the sky, the one that doesn't move, then he imagines that point on the horizon has an end location, and the point in the light in the sky also has an end location.
Yes, and that's why it is impossible because if you are measuring angle, for example, this guy whatever said that you have horizontal line straight is going straight from you, and this line to the star, which gives you an angle, and then you can say that you are creating plane, but this plane not closed by triangle, but just plane, it would be a vertical plane, and you cannot see that plane. You are not in position to see that plane. So you cannot see the line on this plane. So you cannot establish distance to the point from that position. You have to revert this perspective view into orthographic view, and this is impossible. It is impossible to establish length because your line in your perspective is point, not a line. You cannot see this line as a line. I don't know if I am well understood. If we are talking about line and you are this line like depth in your perspective view, it is a point. If you center with your axis, with your optical axis, you cannot see a line. You can see a dot only. So your line to the star, in your view, is a dot. So you cannot measure any length.
Yeah, all you're doing is measuring an angle from your position.
Yes, that's it.
Literally a vertical angle from one position to the other, like Betty was saying, from one star to another star. That's it.
And you cannot do anything more.
No, you have an angle. And everyone knows that the angle is the inclination of one straight line or plane to another straight line or plane. And the straight line has an indeterminate length. Anywhere along those lines or planes, you could measure that angle. That angle will always be the same, no matter where you measured the angle. It wouldn't change along the length of either of the lines or planes that they are put at.
Yes, if they are straight lines, yes, the angle would not change. But still, it is impossible to measure the length of these lines, because in your view, there are not lines, there are points. So
measuring an
possible
angle is a different process than measuring a length. They're separated.
yes, completely different. That's why, for example, if you have a profile, for example, like Suez Canal, this is orthographic view, side view of the canal.
Yeah, elevation profile.
Yes. So it's like turning this flat paper to that position that this is a line. So you cannot see a picture, of course. You just can see the sharp edge of a paper. So you cannot see anything. So this is that kind of misunderstanding. What we can do with in orthographic view and in perspective view. So that's why you cannot see anything.
Kind of like flatland, right?
Yes, but reduced to one dimension. So
Yeah.
if you have orthographic view of a piece of paper, you can see in 2 dimensions. But if you turn 90 degree this paper, rotate, so you can see only the line, and you cannot see anything on that paper anymore, because this is a line. So the same thing with that lines to the stars. They are dots. They are not lines from from your perspective. So it is impossible even to say that I can see a line. No, you cannot see a line. You have to turn this picture of yourself by 90 degree and say to see yourself from 90 degree and say that this is a line from my eye to the star. But this is imaginometry only. So it is impossible to measure that kind of angle, not angle, lines. You are not in position to measure. You have to have orthographic view.
I think Betty's asking me Do I want a tutorial in navigation? This is quite a... Right now.
That sounded like a complete non sequitur. Tutorial in navigation. Where did that come from?
Well, within this framework about us talking about measuring angles, obviously it hits ECV type territory pretty soon within the conversation. And they've put all you need is your position, horizon, the horizon and the sun. Totally incorrect. I don't know. He said the whole point of navigation is to find your position. Got it?
Yeah, he's missing the point again, of course, because what you need is an actual angle measuring device and then 2 points to aim at, right? You're not actually trying to find your position, you're just measuring an angle.
Mm. Well, I thought the whole point of navigation is to get you to the place you want to go. You should already know where you are, right?
Oh,
It's
I would
not-
agree with that for sure.
He's put it's totally incorrect. The whole point of navigation is to find your position.
Reverse
No.
engineer.
Like, what the?
It's the complete nonsense.
Yeah.
Because in navigation, you want to know where to go,
Yeah.
not where you are. So to have a right direction, that I have to take, like, let's say, azimuth for this angle or that angle or whatever, to find the way to go there. That if I go at that angle for 3 or 5 hours, I will land it on this point on the map. This is my goal, not where I am.
Yeah, I've always said, like, you should know where you are, right, to start off from, because how the fuck do you know where you're going if you don't know where you are to start off with? It's so, I mean, this is so globe, right? Just exposes, like, what's in the mind of the globe, right? He says, the whole point of navigation is to find your position. And I'd say, I thought the whole point of navigation is to get to the place where you want to go. You should already know where you are. And then he replies, no. Would you like a tutorial in navigation? So how would you fancy that? Like, who wants a tutorial of navigation from a guy that thinks navigation is about finding where you are?
But navigation, this word, it is sailing. Sailing in one place, making circles while sailing. I don't know.
Where are you now? I'm here. Jolly good. Where are you now? Yeah, I'm here. Where you going? Well, I'm here. It's madness. And it's got to be a breakdown in communication, this, hasn't it? But, like, Betty's saying no to the whole point of navigation is to get you where you want to go. He thinks it's all about the position where you're at. On the ground.
So when sailors are starting to go somewhere, to navigate somewhere, and they are for example, in the port of Alexandria in ancient times, so they are scratching their heads, where am I?
Yeah.
I have to find out where I am.
And then if you actually where you are, then what? Where do you go from there? No, I'm fine here. Thank you. I'm done.
Yeah, I know where I am. Well, you need a navigator. What, to work out where we are? We're here.
If you have other people around you, just ask them, do you see me? Am I with you right now? Aren't we both here together?
Well, they've got their experts over there. Blue Marble's got a live stream running again, so hopefully he'll be discussing with his team about the level is horizontal debate to come. You've got Betty, the navigation expert, the proofless logician, the proofless globe logician, helping them with their navigation, letting them know where you are.
I'd say just ask Craig. He knows how to do this whole thing with just a plumb bob. No problem.
He's taught his children.
If you just go and ask him, baby.
He can navigate with a plumb bob, apparently.
According to Bebby, at least, yeah.
It should be a handy skill for anyone to know that. Everybody could be a navigation expert. It's a joke. All of these people are literally hilarious. They can't be real. Right? This whole thing, it's got to be some sort of a dark satire that we're going through. I mean, everything's scripted, but this is getting... It's beyond a joke now, right? If nobody's worked out how ridiculous the globe model is and who the people are that are defending it and some sort of the stupid shit that they've got to say. See you later, Gadget. Thank you very much for being around. Yeah, I think they're definitely real. Like, you can hear the angst within certain people's voices, the hatred of even the subject sometimes. I quite like this. This is where I learn the most. And some of the conversations we have they're hilarious. Coming to realise that these upper class, because Beddy's definitely thinks he's way above everybody else. Whenever you hear that and you find out that their difference of how you do navigation, I'm wondering who's told them this narrative and how this narrative seems to have creeped into different places, on both sides. Because whatever does definitely seem to be talking about the number one flat earth proof type geometric understanding. But that
that's interesting. I think this is interesting that because Bebby was talking about this yesterday, but ran away when the scissors came out in the Ponzi hairdresser. but then you have the FED, the Flat Earth Debate crew, talking about this as well, and they seem to be in complete agreement. So I think it's kind of strange that it's going on. Now you have whatever, you had Bebby yesterday, and you have the FED crew all agreeing with each other on this one thing. It's interesting to me.
Yeah, almost as if the narrative has been set and both sides of the same coin. I don't know.
False dichotomy. I would call the coin a false dichotomy.
Yeah. And of course, there's nobody from either side to be able to discuss it, because we all know how those sort of discussions go. Conversations about whether you can form a triangle by measuring one angle. Literally, you have a third of a triangle.
Yep. It's in the name, guys. It's not this. That's not that hard.
Yeah. This triangle divided by 3 is just 3 angles. And if they're not connected together, you don't have a triangle. Yet, there are people that seem to be telling me that you can. And these people that are telling me this come from both sides. Oh, look, we've got somebody here who wants to add angles. No, we're just talking, this one at the minute is we're talking about the forming of what you can do with an angle. Don't be worried about adding angles to it. We just, we're just literally measuring an angle. We don't need to put a calculation to add more angles to the measured angle that we're doing. But that just seems very clever, isn't it?
Seems very clever. I think that's the key.
Yeah. But we are just measuring individual angles, and what we're talking about here is we're talking about vertical angles into the break, not
he's
talking about horizontal angles, not verticals. Or
he's highlighted the oxymoron, the inherent contradiction in the paper. So I would agree with him there. That's the odd part for sure. Spheroidal triangle is oxymoronic because the triangle is trilateral. That's 3 straight lines. So yeah, oxymoronic. That should make this whole piece of paper void on the face of it.
it says it has been shown that spherical triangles may be, is that computed?
Yes, computed.
As
Yes.
spherical and hence as plane ones by application of the same theorem extended. Is that right? I'm struggling to
Yes,
read it.
this is pure nonsense.
Indeed, that's why it's highlighted.
So,
Yeah.
so sphere is a plane.
Yeah.
Oh, and look, the sentence ends in the dagger sign, which means it is true that. Oh, that's hilarious. And this goes to what you were saying yesterday, right? If you were never taught Euclidean geometry, then you may read this and take this as fact. And they've even highlighted it with the dagger symbol on it. It's obviously not true because it's a paradox. It's a contradiction. It's an oxymoron, whichever word you want to use here. It's absurd. So yeah, it's hilarious.
So they are computing spherical triangles into plane triangles, and then they call them the same.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they are doing.
It says various forms have been given to the development of the theorem, and it gives that, right? And then midway it says where P 1 and 2, I think, are the radii of curvature in the plane. Read that again. The radii of curvature in the plane of the meridian are normal to it. The radii of curvature in the plane. Doesn't make any sense.
Yes. Yes.
Not at all.
But hey, I'm not the one that has to deal with that sort of shit. Yeah, it says it's 900 pages based on a paradox. Something that cannot happen in reality. Therefore, completely fictional. If you allow your mind to go there, then I'll fool on you. But
Somebody brought this. Somebody brought this up. I think it was last year when the Logic Night started over at Geos. And looking at the title of this paper, Transcontinental Triangulation. To me, that implies a fairly big triangle. Straight lines, still. You can't get around that fact. That's a big triangle for a transcontinental triangle. That seems like it's a bit of a chink in the armor there of certain people trying to curve the triangle.
Yeah, we've been saying for a while, there's only one definition of a triangle, and that's rectilinear. Straight lines. Imagine
in this
Go on.
in this paper, they are saying that they have spherical triangle first, and then they are transforming them into normal triangles. I would say that this is quite opposite. They have first normal triangles, and then they are transforming them into spherical triangles. And of course, you can reverse it easily and then say that you created normal triangles from spherical triangles. But I bet that they did just otherwise. They have first normal triangles. Somehow they computed these spherical triangles, and then they are saying that they have reverse situation. I think that that would be that. Not this direction. They are going in opposite direction, and then they are saying that they are going in opposite direction they did first. So because you can reverse this process.
Yeah, these aren't talking about vertical angles, right? These are talking about angles on the horizontal plane, aren't they? On the azimuthal angles.
Definitely.
Yes, so definitely they had first a normal triangle, and then they computed spherical triangles, but they are saying that they computed normal triangles from spherical, and I would say that it is quite opposite.
Yeah, it has to be, right? You can't do any trigonometry in order to measure any of this stuff if you're not using straight lines. You can't measure an angle unless you have the straight lines. Particularly if we're angle measuring devices, and if you're going from mountain to mountain, then you need a line of sight. No one would ever presume that line of sight for the angle measurement is a curved line. That would be ridiculous. So, you're talking about straight lines, and as we've shown, that in order for you to be able to compute anything with triangles, you need to have the length of the side to be able to do that. And that would have to have been measured. You have to start off with the baseline that is absolutely straight, and you make that as long as you possibly can. And then from that point onwards, you can then start to use trigonometry to be able to put the lengths to the rest of the sides using the angles. And you, by extension, then you can check that and double check it by more triangulation. But you have to have a known distance in order for you to do anything with triangles, you have to have triangles with straight lines. Otherwise, you can't measure the angle and you can't measure the length of the side. It needs to be the shortest distance between those 2 points. That applies to reality, not just to geometric triangles. Reality triangles require straight lines. All of this stuff that you read in these papers about excess for spheres doesn't apply to straight line triangles, the ones that we use for computation and prediction of the sides. It's for geometric purposes. There's proofs that go to show this and how it all works, and how the lengths of the sides relate to the angle, and they're in proportion about a hypotenuse. Within the geometry book, the elements, the foundations of mathematics, all of this is laid out. It's looking like these guys sort of know about different points in Euclid. Euclid book 6 is triangles, proportions and ratios, and how they're used.
But they seem to be ignoring a lot from book 1, like proposition 32, for example, proves that every triangle has internal angles equaling to 2 right angles. It's a proof within the foundations of mathematics, and they can't get around that, but it seems like they're ignoring it pretty fine.
And by the way, they are not the first who are talking about these spherical triangles and trying to do some trigonometry, because Copernicus was addressing that issue, and he didn't even try to do trigonometry because he knew that he cannot. So he didn't. I think in his book 6 of his work, he was referring to Euclid somehow, and he was making some vague analogy, but he didn't try to do trigonometry with that. So his only statement about something like calculating anything was just to draw a so-called spherical triangle and make vague analogy to something in Euclid. That's all he did. So he knew that this is impossible, and that's why I know also that this is impossible now, because I assume that he was good astronomer and good mathematician. So he knew what he can do and what he cannot do. So if he couldn't do that, then he didn't. Simple. And I would say that this is impossible mathematically even today, because if it was possible, Copernicus would do that, and he didn't.
Yeah,
it sounds to me like you're saying that Copernicus knew that you could do fuck all with an angle. That seems like you're saying exactly that.
Yes, precisely. He knew that you cannot make trigonometry with spherical triangles. He knew that. That's why he didn't bring any calculations for that spherical triangles. There is no in his book, because he knew this is impossible.
Yeah, drawing lines on balls has never been a great mathematical endeavor. There's just no point, really.
No, there is no mathematics to go around with that.
Yeah,
you cannot do anything.
Only in the minds of globe fanatics can it be imagined that people can do this. Not actual mathematicians don't bother with it. It's a, what would you say, fruitless task of no reason, sort of akin to trying to square the circle. There's no point in it. For what reason? What would happen if you could?
Yeah, in the same vein that you can do fuck all with an angle, the ratio of the circumference to the diameter is a perfect proof that you cannot square the circle. You cannot find, yeah, it's impossible. That's why they cannot find the so-called last digit of pi. I'll tell you right now, it's because there is no last digit. It's just going to keep on going. You can't put the numerical value to that ratio. It's impossible to do. Hence why you cannot square the circle.
Yeah, one of the biggest things is you cannot know some things. Some things cannot be known. Not because you're not clever enough. And not because you're not a good enough thinker. It's just because there are things there that tell you some things are impossible for you to find. You'll never know certain things. I think that's a valuable lesson to learn. And once it's been put there, oh, you disagree about the squaring of a circle. Rocky roads, we're not arguing about anything. We're not arguing about any of this. I can make an argument, and have made an argument about all horizontals being parallel. And I don't think I need to do much more than that. I practice epoche. Basically, I don't give a shit. But I do like the idea of the argument and the debate and the discussion and furthering my thoughts. He does have to be here, Paige. They have to send some people in. It's a must do. They can't
All I can
leave
think
us
about
alone.
is this.
Go on.
Okay, hang on. All day, this is driving me fucking nuts, man. This stupid question. Like, why? Why can't we just say that level is horizontal?
Why can't you make a positive statement and
I'm
then go
having a
to
hard
prove
time.
that statement? I don't understand it myself. I never have understood why some people seem to be shy of actually finding a proof. I mean, the Globers say there are no proofs. I mean, I don't know who listens to those people anymore. I certainly don't. Since I know that there are proofs and I do hold proofs, then anybody that tells me there are no proofs, I find that to be ridiculous. Because I definitely have proofs. Trying to come with it's all a matrix. It's not. This is reality. There's a definite difference between VR and reality. We are definitely, I'm talking to you now, I've got a microphone in front of me. This is reality. And in this reality, triangles, one of the things that we can be absolutely certain of is that triangles have 180 degrees. Or the sum of two right angles. Definitely provable. You're not going to get out of that by saying, well, it's a matrix. I've watched the film. I don't think you can't get out of existential facts like that by putting everybody in a matrix. I mean, that's the ultimate defeat, right? You're admitting that you've got no other way out of this conversation. Can't actually live in reality to be able to converse with us. You have to go to something that's obviously not real. I'd say you're defeated. Oh, but thanks for coming and showing us. We go over a few of the basic facts that we have here as the foundations. That's one of the beauties of learning logic, finding logic. Well, I'm more like logic, logos. Slapped me in the face, really. Brought me into this to teach me how to sniff out bullshit. Geometry is the gift of learning logic through simple formulations about straight lines. But the logic that you learn through geometry can definitely be applied to reality. Definitely some good thought processes that go on through this extension of geometry, because once you know that the geometric system is a system of proofs, theorems and proofs going all the way through, and then somebody likes to say, well, not that, I guess if you don't really have the geometric understanding of how the proofs are derived from each other and where they start off from, and that sort of elemental idea, and then the link of that to the foundation of mathematics and the logical processes of mathematics and how they run through with each other. They follow a system of what do they call them? They call them the common notations, but these are just like the basic ideas, the principles that run through all of these mathematical things. But it's a thought process. The common notations are some of the axioms that people seem to have gotten rid of within geometry and mathematical number thing as well. Everything has to follow the same system, so that there is no indiscrepancies. You can't get around it. There's no really, you can say there's no debate about geometry. You can't really debate the geometric system. And if anybody thinks you can, then bring it on. I'll take Euclidean geometry and the proofs within that. I feel quite confident. Anybody want to debate geometric systems in reality? I'm your man. Any of us here, I think Saragaki would like to have a go at that. Paper, definitely. Mobius would have a go at that as well. There's quite a few of us here that would definitely be willing to take on this sort of idea of you could debate geometry.
It sounds so ridiculous by even mentioning it as a possibility.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, like, you'd be safe with Euclidean, right? You've got,
Yep.
I'm happy with that. I'll just stick with this one book, and
Yeah.
let's go.
Nothing
Let's
else
go.
needed.
That's how
What are you
certain
gonna
it is.
debate, right?
Yeah. I used to say you can't science geometry, but I guess the more you get into this understanding of where the terms come from, then science changes its meaning, I think. Because the modern day science, particularly within this arena, the blue marble science, the one that a lot of the housekeeping questions are going towards, that definitely isn't what science is. It's probably as far removed from what the essence of science actually is. The acquisition of knowledge, not people making shit up because a model tells them they have to. That's not science. So you can gain knowledge from geometry. So you can actually, in my new understanding of science, you can science geometry.
Oh, definitely.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
knowledge to be gained from something so simple. Even trying to simplify it for yourself, there's knowledge to be gained in that. Loads of it. But changing that up, you cannot debate it, because the arguments that can be put forward from geometry, Euclidean geometry, are rock solid. They're proofs. You can't unproof a proof.
I can debate axioms.
You can debate the axioms.
Yes, because opponent should have to use axioms to disprove axioms, so it would be very funny.
Yep.
Yeah. Debate logic. Debate the stolen concept of logic, defeating logic by using logic.
That's the ultimate stolen concept.
A stolen concept debate. Oh, genius. That's like Monty Python's skit, isn't it? But it'd probably go over the heads of a lot of people.
Oi, 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 the things they say.
Yeah. So, yeah. I forgot where I was now. It's hilarious. I keep thinking that now. We're going to have to start a cartoon up or something. The logic of debating. So, yeah, that's the idea that somebody's claiming to be the king of debate. If anybody wants the arguments, I think the claim was that he's the only one that should be debating. So Nathan, if you do want to practice, the offers definitely stands. Same with Blue Marble. The Blue Marble debate, I said it would be good to do it on Fight the Flat Earth channel. I think he's got the biggest output, and since Blue Marble won't want to do it on like Jaren or Dave Weiss, because he'll consider that biased or whatever, I don't know. So yeah, I think Fight the Flat Earther, probably the better one than Mr. Sensible for hosting a debate and for moderating. So if Blue Marble, if you're listening, or if you ever listen, go back in to listen to this. If you would like to have a conversation about discussing the terms, about how the debate would be outlaid and whatnot, I've always said that if I go into a debate, I would like to be in the study of the trivium. I would like to follow in the footsteps of how Euclid laid it all out and start from first principles. So I would hopefully do the definitions of all of the terms that I'm going to be using and lay out the argument as simply as possible, stating all of the terms of everything I use. That would be the way I would like to structure a debate. I think Blue Marble wants us to agree to terms beforehand, but I think that should be put into the debate so the debate can stand as its own piece without other tagged on bits being, at least for starters anyway, until we get settled. Maybe it's just me and the way I would like to do this, but I'm guessing. I would like...
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry, go on.
I would agree with you that the terms should be... there should be a conversation back and forth on it so that you can actually come to terms on it. It shouldn't be laid down by one party that you're gonna have to adhere to his definitions or whatever. It should be a back and forth on it so you can come to terms. I would agree with that.
Yeah. Well, I'd like I say, I'd like to do it in the debate from beginning to end, actually within the debate, so I could get the terms sorted. But this would be my first actual proper debate. I consider the one with Ryan that we did a few weeks ago. The one where he said a sphere wasn't Euclidean. The surface of a sphere wasn't Euclidean geometry. You remember that? It's like all of these times just fly by.
Yeah, I do remember that. That was kind of like he was not prepared. He should not have gone into that and called it a debate.
Yeah, there's still I'd say running from it, but I mean, we know that there have no arguments, so there can't really be a debate. Hopefully Blue Marble can show everyone how it works, how the Blue Marble science debate happened.
Yeah, I wonder what specific kind of logic he's going to be utilizing, because he's already bringing up Euclidean geometry in the terms of his debate with level and horizontal. Horizontal definitely being a straight line, aka Euclidean. So this is going to be interesting.
Did you see the his reciprocal zenith angle video?
Yes, I saw you go over it.
Yeah. Right, so you would know then that he stated he uses the triangle axiom, 12th axiom,
yeah, I saw that.
fifth postulate within his proof.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Genius.
Oh, talk about stolen concept, right?
Yeah. They can't see it though. And that is one of the funniest things. Not wanting to mock anybody or anything, but being a dilethiast is this. I'm pretty sure that come the time when they develop and they place it in the education system, and that education system loops around on itself. So eventually the people that are born from the education system then become the teachers to work within the education system. The indoctrination starts becoming indoctrinated. The whole system's done like that. So in order to cope with modern day contradictions, acceptable paradoxes, it's sort of built into the psyche. Step one, stop teaching logic, because logic would obviously show up the contradictions. But because you don't teach the logic, it doesn't stop the contradictions from being there. So you need to be able to counter a natural logic, right? The stuff that's just there, it's obvious. And in order to do that, I think Dilethianism is one of these cures, if you will, for logic. They sort of stop teaching logic and then employ this Dilethianism. Unfortunately, it's easily exposed. Somebody who is a Dilethiast is, what you do is you show them an obvious contradiction and they just deny it's a contradiction. That's how you know for sure that you're talking to a Dilethiast.
Yep, that goes within the very definition of what the Dilethiast is. It's one who has the concept of a true contradiction, an actual contradiction that exists and stands as true in reality, able to hold both sides of the contradiction as true at the same time and in the same way. It's within the definition of it. I say that's a first step, because now you have logics with like infinite truth values between 1 and 0. So Dilethianism, I would say, is one of the first steps, and then I've gone further with fuzzy logic and all these paraconsistent logics, and not necessarily a need to go into all that now, but there's more building on top of Dilethianism, I would say.
Yeah, say the Dilethianism, right, is to be able to accept a true contradiction, but consequence of that is that they can't see the contradiction. They don't. They can't even accept that there is a contradiction there, because the very fact of the Dilethianism is it takes away the contradiction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore at that point.
Which is very strange that it's within the definition that it's a true contradiction. If you're one of these Dilethiasts, you cannot see the contradiction for being a contradiction. It's I don't know. You like, once you you have no logic if you've exploded your logical system and allowed a contradiction in. But then once you've allowed the contradiction in, the mind state literally makes contradictions disappear. It must be a nightmare living with somebody that is one of these minds. I bet they have no partners. You couldn't do that. You couldn't live without being able to see I couldn't, without being able to see a contradiction. How you can allow a square to be a triangle, to be a circle, and see no contradiction in that statement.
I would say that this is impossible to not to see, because you can discern between 3 and 4. Triangle has 3 sides and square has 4 sides. So it implies that person who is talking about that, he cannot discern between 3 and 4. And this is impossible.
I'm
Just
not so sure, because you have the claim that a triangle, a square, and a circle are all the same thing. You've heard over the last few days even. Rumpus said it yesterday. That's a Dilethiast at work right there. So I'm not so sure it's impossible. Some people manage to hide this stuff from themselves in a very peculiar way and actually state it blatantly for other people to hear it. It's very fascinating.
Yeah, I think
okay.
it's one of the consequences of an exploded mind. Once you allow a true contradiction, like an existential contradiction to be allowed, you literally have to explode the mind. Logic has to go. Otherwise, there would be a conflict there that I don't think the mind can deal with. So in order to get bypass that, you have to break the mind, break the logos.
Okay, so I will rephrase. Normal mind, simple, logically thinking mind, like a child, 6-year-old, normal person, could not say that. So if this person is not lying, it means that he is completely mad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I would have to go along
Agreed.
with that. Yeah. Anybody that's willing to say that they can't see a contradiction or anything like what we've experienced, madness. Right? And it shouldn't be mocked either. It shouldn't laugh at these people, and you shouldn't. Shouldn't really get into a debate with them either. I think that's what we've learned. But it's how many of these exploded minds are conversations with us going to cause? Or are they special people that have been in this arena for far too long? Have they been put here for that reason? I don't know.
I think it's a combination of all three, plus building on what Paper said earlier, that it would take some sort of learning to be able to throw logos out the window in your own personal psyche. There has to be a process that goes into that somehow, because that's not innate, that you're not born like that, right? So there has to be, various factors playing into this.
Yeah, the lost
Yes.
tools of learning used to teach to children from a very early age as they were being brought up the trivium. That's pretty obvious nowadays why they've took logic out, why they don't teach the trivium. If you were to teach the trivium, then I don't believe Dilethianism would exist. I don't think it could in later life. I can't believe that you could learn the trivium and the quadrivium and then come out at the end and say, I know what I'll do.
No, I would have to agree with that. Yeah, definitely. The laws of communication, as we refer to them as, it's at the very core of logic. You cannot just throw that out the window once you understand it. And I think it's innately understood in most people, at least once you've started to at least gotten your language in order and are able to communicate at all with others. Law of identity, law of non-contradiction, especially those two. I can't see how you can just ignore that later on. It's madness to me. I can't see it.
Yeah, logic is a gift, or it's been a gift to me, but I'm guessing it was already there. But learning about logic more so gives you a way to formulate your statements and to be able to place the words better. Aids in a better communication. And so that's the gift to me. And hopefully we can communicate with people better and be able to better represent a logical system to show people the simplicity within logic is there for anyone and everyone, right? Apart from, I think the only people that can't get it is the people that have this exploded mind, and they then become hateful at people. I think they don't seem to like the idea of a logical system, logical thinking. I don't know why. Especially within this bunny ears debate arena. How to have debate without logic.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's oxymoronic because it's impossible and absurd. Basically, is what it is if you're trying to attempt it. Even so, calling this a debate with blue marble, it can't really be a debate if you're debating geometry, which is pure logic at its core. It's very strange.
Yeah, well, when I was looking into trivium, right? The idea of a student learning trivium, you would pick a subject as you're going through the process, and at the end, then you do call it a dissertation or whatever, but it would be you would go up in front of your peers to be able to withstand, let's say, a criticism, but you would be put up for argumentation to see how well you could support your case for a particular subject. And you would use, obviously, all of the skills that you've learned through learning the trivium, grammar, logic, and rhetoric, to be able to show how well you've learned and what you've progressed and what the subject matter you took was to learn. Well, my subject matter is level and the geometric understanding of how we interpret level in reality. And my dissertation, hopefully, will be a debate where I get a chance to show what I've learned through this trivium and logic and geometry and stuff. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Whether it be Blue Marble or Nathan Oakley, I'm ready for a debate to showcase what I've learned and hopefully to be able to see where I need to improve in certain areas or whatever. Now, I don't know if anybody knows me and the way we do things round here, but I will I'll try as much as I can to freestyle the whole of the thing and do it as is from off the top of my head.
I would say that's usually the best way to go, because then you're always ready for any sort of rebuttal that may come. You're always ready to handle it then and there. If you have some structured situation going, then it will be way easier to sort of knock you off your course. So doing it freestyle, I think, at least being able to do it freestyle, it would be the best way to go.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, I would. Like, I don't want to live off slides and be doing a presentation or anything like that. So I'd like to do it. Yeah. So that's the idea for me. I'm up for a debate, structured as well as possible. I would like to showcase what we've learned here and the help from everybody else, just to say to you guys here, this is a big thank you for everybody's involvement in how we can do this, and to show everyone where we're going to go forwards. Hopefully we get some more debates going. Stuff.
Since many people are undermining logic, so I would say that next topic would be logic in debate. It would be funny.
Yeah. Debating logic in debate. Debating the use of logic within debate.
Hopefully more people can also, become interested in the idea of debates, because like you said early on in this conversation, there aren't really any debates at all going on. So if more people can get interested in debating and having debates, doing debates, hosting debates, that could only be a positive development.
Yeah, it's more about the discussion, but the discussion is like training, right? You are bettering your art of communication whenever you're discussing anything with anybody, and to be able to get deeper into those discussions, there's an art to not triggering people. It's not upsetting them and putting that curtain down where the conversation just stops. If you can go deeper into a conversation, then normally that's where the interesting bits are. Where you find out more and you can learn more. The deeper into the simplicity of a conversation you can get to. That's what I'm here for.
Jelenkus.
Yes. Yeah, but I mean, that can come across quite combative as well, can't it? But I think it's either combative or it's a learning process. Anybody that considers it combative would be on the receiving end and not have an answer. If you find yourself in aporia through Jelenkus, then yeah.
Oh, this reminds me, actually, the thing I wrote up on Sunday. I would like us to go over that, but I'm gonna hold it back until after this blue marble debate, because I don't want to sort of get in the way with something, or give something away rather to blue marble. He can deal with his own arguments on his own end. But after that, it would be nice to go over this.
Yeah. Like I said, I think there's a time for everything, and there is a series of arguments that we want to be able to put across. Simple ones first. We start off with modus tollens, modus ponens, modus ponendo tollens, and put those arguments out simply, but then being able to show the advanced simplicity of how I think it's beautiful, the exquisite nature of advanced simplicity and the argument of a straight line and the perpendicularity. And I think also there's another one within the circle as well, isn't there? The relationship of the ratio within a circle. I think there's a quite nice one to be built into that.
Yes, for the future, definitely.
Oh, spherical. I like. To me, when anybody says that spherical triangles, it just doesn't mean anything. Literally, I know what a triangle is. So the entertaining of a not triangle.
Yes, spherical triangles are just modern unicorns.
Yeah, drawing lines on balls is be the best way to explain the not triangle. But like, there's a lot of people that have been fed paralogisms, and they imagine that drawing lines on balls is some sort of a form of argumentation. I'm talking about you, Rumpus. It's not. And B-ball as well. B-ball does that. Draws lines on balls and imagines that you can measure an angle. Because the problem is that all of those numbers that are used within a plane geometry idea. I mean, I'm not a great one for formulas and stuff, but they're using the sign. And if you do that, you're talking about angles of triangles, normal triangles. Just a basic triangle. Because everybody knows that in reality, triangles have the sum of two right angles. No more, no less. I think there's a guy, that guy, Bob. I think somebody was saying something about him on Twitter. I think he's something like that. That guy, Bob. Yeah. He has a thing about triangles where he knows about that. As does everybody. Ask any mathematician. How many internal angles does a triangle have? And then ask them the same about a spherical triangle.
Please record it when you do. I want to listen.
How many angles does a triangle have? 180. How many angles does a spherical triangle have? More. Like, so globe. What, I mean, how globe is that?
The moment you have 3 points that are not collinear, you have a plane, you have a triangle. It's done deal.
Yeah, here we go. I'll just play this one. That guy, Bob.
The sum of the internal angles of a triangle is always 180. No more, no less.
There you go. He's one of the top legit mathematicians. So there you go. Where's he been? He's keeping quiet. He must be up to some great work. Maybe his great work is being done. Be off writing it. is anybody... What time are we at? Oh, it's only a little bit early, isn't it? It's 11:15. Has anybody got anything else we go into after show in Discord? Might end it early and go into a recording session of the after show. Play it tomorrow on my other channel.
I would have to call it a night here.
Yeah, I think I don't think we've got much else. So yeah, I think we will be ending it. Logic Night. Thank you very much for coming. Anybody got any final words?
You can do fuck all with an angle, baby.
Globe Bebby, the proofless globe logician, trying to do practical geometry and imagine he can make a triangle. I'll just play this Bob clip again.
The sum of the internal angles of a triangle is always 180. No more, no less.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. Coming tomorrow, it is Trivium. See where that goes. See if we can draw up any business about these debates as well. Yeah, hopefully. Is the Earth flat? Bev versus Nathan. Well done asking. Keep promoting that. Or Blue Marble. Blue Marble, and the level is level horizontal. Blue Marble Science versus Bev. Thanks for joining us. Join us tomorrow.
It's the echo in your brain. You know you can't sustain the misconceptions in your mind. One day you'll see for sure what all of this was for. Then you can leave it all behind. The journey begins. I am the one, yeah, that will show the proof. I am the one, yeah, that is searching for the truth. I am the whispers of the logic in your mind. I am an agent of the logos. In the beginning was found this thing that cannot speak. It's how we all truly learn. It's only ever attained when one lets go of fear. So don't let wisdom pass you by. The journey begins. I am the one, yeah, that will show the proof. I am the one, yeah, that is searching for the truth. I am the whispers of the logic in your mind. I am an agent of the logos. It was there all along. How could I never have seen this thing that's danced all around? It wasn't until I left behind the things I believed that I could see things so clear. The journey begins. the one here that will show the proof. Become the one here that is searching for the truth. Become the whispers of the logic in their mind. Become an agent of the Logos. Become an agent of the Logos. We are the agents of the Logos.